everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I will be discussing again one of the important chapters, that is keeping quiet, which I discussed in the last video, uh, including the literary devices and also the important theme of the poem that I already discussed in the last video, as I said. And today I'm just gonna go ahead and look at the textbook questions. I'll be going ahead and trying to solve those questions given in the textbook. I think at least 4 questions are there. And apart from those 4 questions, I will also be looking at some of the important questions that are really expected and that are really connected to this chapter that we all need to really understand about these chapters. All right, now let's start with the very first question. Number 1, what will counting up to 12 and keeping still help us achieve? When we say keeping still, the poet is stressing the meaning keeping quiet here. So what will counting up to 12 and keeping still or keeping quiet help us achieve? What is the objective that we can achieve when we count up to 12 and when we keep quiet? That is the question. So counting up to 12 takes very short time. It does not take that much time. Keeping still, keeping quiet for this brief interval of time gives us a momentary pause. Momentary means quick moment, quick pause to introspect and self-examine and review the course of action. It is generally observed that most of the ills and troubles of the world are caused by rush or hurry, and that is very true. Violence is caused by anger, and that is also true. Keeping quiet and still without any movement will give us necessary respite and ensure peace. This is how we can answer this question. Necessary respite means necessary relief, quick relief or rest, and that eventually ensures peace. Question number 2, do you think the poet advocates total inactivity and death? This is very important questions. Do you think the poet advocates total inactivity and death? So when we say advocates supports, and we know that the poet does not advocate either total inactivity or the death. Answer goes like this: no, he does not advocate, means does not support either total inactivity or death. He makes it clear, he makes it quite clear, means complete clear, that his stillness should not be, stillness means quietness, should not be confused with total inactivity or equated to it. Total inactivity brings death, but Neruda has no truck with death. Therefore, in the poem also we understood and we read last time in the last video I discussed in detail about it. Therefore he says, I want no truck with death. That means he does not want anybody or any reader to get confused with the phrase total inactivity with the word death, because many times he refers the inactivity, stillness, quietness, but somewhere he might be thinking that the readers might get confused with the phrase total inactivity and death. Therefore he says, I want no trouble with that. That means he does not want anybody, any reader, to get confused with the word death when he said total inactivity. His stillness means halting of harmful and hostile human activities. Halting means stopping of harmful or hostile human activities. It happens generally, it's a nature that we rush for one thing or the other. We keep on doing our own activities throughout the day, and globally millions of activities are being happened. But if we keep quiet and still and count on, at least up to 12, until the time if we remain silent and quiet and still without moving our arms, without doing any other activities, we may stop harmful or hostile human activities, at least for that particular moment. That is what the poet Peblo Neruda is stressing. All right, now question number 3. Question is, what is the sadness that the poet refers to in the poem? And this question can be very important from the exam's perspective, as this was asked in the year 2014 by Cbse board. This is very important. Answer: man's sadness is formed out of his own actions and thoughts. It is very true. It is quite ironical. It is quite opposite sometimes and ironical in nature that man who understands so much fails to understand himself and his action. It is very ironical and true also for the fact that one who understands so much about the problems of the people, of other people, but he sometimes he himself fails to understand about himself and his action, and that is very true. So rash action prove harmful and disastrous. When we say rash action here, this phrase we need to really understand in detail. Rash action means careless or reckless or impulsive actions. Impulsive means something that is done uh, quickly without any thoughts, for example. So these kind of actions, rash actions, prove harmful and disastrous sometimes. Man is the creator of all disasters. He is always threatening himself with death because of his thoughts and actions. This is the tragedy of his life as well. So we have to be very careful when we make our choices, when we take a decision um, in our life. So this is the kind of sadness the poet is referring to in the poem Keeping Quiet. And as I said, it is a very, very important one, which was once asked by Cbse in 2014 as well. So next question number 4. What symbol from nature does the poet invoke to say that there can be life under apparent stillness? So invoke here is a kind of appeal that the poet is making here. Invoke means appeal or pray to do something. So what symbol from nature does the poet pray or appeal to say that there can be life under apparent stillness? Appearance, clear, um, transparent, quietness. The poet wants to prove that there can be life under apparent stillness. The poet invokes and prays the earth as a living symbol to prove his point. The earth never attains total inactivity because we know earth is a symbol of life, and this is a symbolism in terms of literary devices that we discussed in the last video as well. Please go through that video once if you haven't watched it so far. Nature remains at work all the time, even under apparent stillness. It keeps earth alive. This idea is beautifully illustrated, means explained in detail by the following lines. As when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. This is very true. Alright, those were the questions given at the end of the chapter, Keeping Quiet. Apart from those questions, there are a few other important questions which are very important, I guess, from the exam's perspective, and that are really important as well from the perspective of understanding this poem in detail. So let's understand and start with the very first question. Number 1. How does the poet distinguish stillness from total inactivity? Why does Neruda uh, so I want no truck with death? There's a typo error here. This should be say, and when he said I want no truck with death, that means uh, no truck with death means to refuse to deal with or to refuse to refer with. So basically, how does the poet differentiate stillness from that of total inactivity? Because many a time we know from the poem that he's referring to quietness, stillness, and also somewhere he said total inactivity. Therefore, and also he said that he does not want to get his readers uh, confused with the word death when he said total inactivity in the poem. Of course, he's talking about quietness, stillness, inactivity, but he is not really emphasizing his phrase total inactivity. So Pablo Neruda is in favor of stillness or silence. We remain still and quiet for some time. On the other hand, total inactivity is a permanent suspension of work. It is just like that of death. Stillness means quietness should not be confused with total inactivity. That is what is very important to understand from the poet's perspective, from Neruda's perspective. Life goes on as usual. There can't be anything like total inactivity, which can be considered as death. The poet refuses to associate with death or deal with it. That is the exact meaning of this phrase, one, I want no truck with death. That means uh, the poet does not want to uh, associate with death or deal with the word death when he said total inactivity. So that is where we have to be really careful to understand. Question number 2. Why does Pablo Neruda urge us to keep still? Why does Pablo Neruda, why does the poet urge, really request us to keep quiet and still? So stillness is essential for calm reflection and quiet introspection. When there is no stillness, no quietness or calm, there can't be quiet introspection. That is what the poet emphasizes in the poem also. We hear the voice of conscience in moments of silence. That is very true. The poet is convinced that most of human ills and miseries are caused by humans' hurry and rush to do things. The poet wishes that we may withdraw ourselves from our undesirable actions and keep still, means keep quiet for a moment and retrospect and introspect ourselves. Question number three, why should not we speak in any language and not move our arms so much? So these are the exact phrases used in the poem, Keeping Quiet by the poet Pablo Neruda. So let us understand why we should not. People of the world speak in different languages. They indulge in unnecessary debates and disputes. Most of these arguments lead to destructive wars as well. The poet urges people to stop speaking in any languages. They must speak through their hearts, but be still and quiet. So far, men have moved their arms only to harm others. That is what he stresses, the poet stresses, means emphasizes, gives more importance. Therefore, the poet wants that they should not move their arms so much because it can harm one another. That's why he says, let us be quiet and still, let's not speak in any language for a few seconds, not move our arms so much. Let these arms rest for once. Let a feeling of mutual understanding be created among human beings. Till the time we keep still quiet for a few moments, at least till the time we finish counting up to 12. And the last question, and the most important one, I guess, Pablo Neruda says, we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. When can we experience such a moment? Why will that be an exotic moment? When we say exotic moment, we are referring to an enticing, or attractive, or fascinating moment, or unusual moment. Non-stop activity means regular, continuous activity. Unnecessary rush and noise have made our lives unpleasant and full of misery, pain, and troubles. We must stop rushing, hurrying, worrying, and running. Even the noise of engines and machines must stop for once. Then all of us will enjoy the sudden strangeness of that moment, which can be an exotic moment, which can be an exciting moment. Really, it will be a unique moment, which can be an unusual moment for all of us. In that exotic or fascinating moment, we shall feel totally relaxed physically as well as mentally. This is what the poet says here, and this is the answer for this question as well.